On the 635th day of the war in Ukraine, the fighting was concentrated in these areas. In Donetsk front, Ukrainian and Russian forces again clashed on the northern part of the Avdiivka sector, in the areas between Stepove and the chemical plant, as well as southeast in the direction of the industrial zone. Today, more information became available over the ongoing battles along the Stepove chemical plant line. Ukrainian sources released new footage showing Ukrainian forces counterattack and clear a series of Russian positions west of the railway. As mentioned in my previous video, yesterday Ukrainian forces conducted clearing operations near the railway and managed to dislodge the Russian forces from a number of positions along the walls and tree lines north of the chemical plant. A Bradley infantry fighting vehicle of the 47th Mechanized Brigade stormed the Russian forces, and after firing and suppressing the Russian positions, the Ukrainian armored vehicle landed infantry forces, which restored the control over most of the positions west of the railway, further stabilizing the northern flank. According to some Russian and Ukrainian sources, the armed forces of Ukraine carried out another counterattack from the direction of Ocheretine, pushing southeast of the Ukrainian town and clearing several tree lines along the railway north of Stepove. At the same time, the artillery units of the 47th Brigade targeted the Russian positions northeast of Stepove using cluster munition to cause heavy casualties to the Russian forces, reportedly destroying an entire infantry unit. On the other hand, Russian forces organized another wave of attacks aimed at the Ukrainian positions south of Novokalynove, and as a result of their offensive operations, they managed to capture and entrench on new positions along the railway. Thanks to the counterattacks carried out during the last 48 hours by the 47th Mechanized Brigade, the situation on the northern part of the front line seemed to have stabilized for the moment, but the Russian army continues to target the Ukrainian stronghold with various types of artillery and air strikes, and today they even carried out strikes with incendiary rounds over the industrial zone north of Avdiivka. On the southern part of the sector, clashes continue near the industrial area and the Tsarska Ochota strongpoint. Today, the Ukrainian 110th Mechanized Brigade published a video showing that despite their advances inside the industrial zone, the Russian forces are also suffering losses during their offensive operations in this area, and thanks to the work of the Ukrainian FPV drones, at least 3 tanks and 2 BMP infantry fighting vehicles were damaged or destroyed. Meanwhile, the Ukrainian army also continues to inflict damage to the Russian rear. Today, the 3rd Special Purpose Regiment published a video showing the destruction of a Russian command vehicle near the Avdiivka sector. As we can see from the footage, the Ukrainian drones adjusted fire for the HIMARS systems to deliver a fatal strike and destroy the Russian command unit dozens of kilometers behind the contact line. In Kherson front, the situation on the ground remains tense despite the lack of significant territorial changes. Despite the Russian attempts to force the Ukrainian Marines out of their bridgehead in Krynky, the Ukrainian forces maintained their positions across the river, and according to the latest reports by the Russian source Rybar, the Ukrainian army transferred fresh forces on the left bank of the river and managed to expand their foothold in the forest areas south of the village of Krynky. Thanks to their FPV drone units, Ukrainians were able to effectively hit the concentrations of the Russian armored units along the E58 highway south of Krynky. Geolocated footage published by Ukrainian sources confirmed that Ukrainians were able to strike and destroy a high number of tanks, armored vehicles, trucks and artillery systems along this road, reducing the capabilities of the Russian forces to conduct a strong counterattack and expel the Ukrainian forces from the bridgehead. The Ukrainian army also continued to strike at priority targets at the rear, causing a lot of problems to the Russian supply lines and logistics. During this week alone, the Ukrainian army carried out at least 4 major strikes at the Russian rear, destroying command posts, warehouses, and a panzer air defense system using HIMARS and JDAM strikes. The latest JDAM strike totally obliterated a Russian warehouse of equipment and manpower near the village of Tarasivka, about 35 kilometers away from the left bank. Friends, if you like my daily updates, I kindly ask you to hit the like and subscribe buttons, as this will greatly help the channel to reach a wider audience. That's all for today's update. Thank you to my Patreon supporters, and have a great day.